When I was 18, my suicide attempt resulted in a permanent spinal cord injury. If you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, please contact one of these organizations. So ever since grade 5, I started to have insomnia. I would not be able to sleep throughout the night. But at the time, I had no idea if I was different from anyone else. I didn't think I was sick. Between 16 to 18, the insomnia just got out of control. There was countless nights I would just stay awake for the entire night for no major reason. And that's when I started to feel like perhaps I was a little bit different than most people. But now looking back, I think that I already had a lot of those early signs of mental illness ever since I was a child. I would say 16 was the time where I first realized that maybe I would become suicidal one day, because I remember there was a very small incident that happened between me and a classmate, and I went home crying, and suddenly I have this feeling of wanting to hurt myself, and it really surprised me because it was not a very major issue, and really triggered that kind of a suicidal thoughts. It was actually very common for bipolar patient to be misdiagnosed in the beginning. So because I was taking antidepressants for a little bit too long, and that's what triggered my second episode of manic and then following with depression. So it was during the second episode that I was formally diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I was in the hospital for about a month, and the doctor was after witnessing my psychosis behaviors and my out of control manners, and he was firm that I actually have bipolar all along. When I was really sick and mentally unwell, I didn't have the capacity or capability of managing my own medication. So my mom played a huge role. So she made a journal of the dose that I was taking. She made a lot of notes on that process, and along with how I react to different doses. Like, she would rate my mood, she would rate my mental well-being on a daily basis, and then she would share that with our psychiatrist just to let him know whether the medication needs to be adjusted. So she played a very very important role in helping me with my recovery. Having the right medication specifically for bipolar disorder is the key for my recovery. But it wasn't until like 2 years later that I finally found the right medication for me. And I remember maybe a couple months after being on this medication, and I just woke up one day and feeling like a complete different person. Like, the way I experience my inner state, the experience of being a human, is very different compared to the first 22 years of my life. At first, I didn't even know it was the medication. I just felt like I was very odd. I felt really different today. And as I took my medication more and more, and one day I realized, oh, it's the medication that finally worked. But once the medication was right, the dose was right, you are just a normal person. You just become a healthy, a functional person. Yeah. My entire personality changed. I'm now a very outgoing person, a very positive person, versus when I was in my earlier years. I was always anxious. I had social phobia. I had a lot of different anxieties over everything. So now, I'm a totally different person. After my injury, I truly witnessed how my parents had sacrificed themselves for me. So over the years, our relationship have improved very much, not only because the relationship itself, but because the three of us have also become better people, more capable of showing love to other people, especially our family members. Yeah.
我跟我女儿说，如果有一天 你会去关心别人，你会想去帮别人，你就会走出这个。
I wanted to share because I was misunderstood by people around me at the time. So I want them to know how it felt like to be suicidal and to be depressed. And after that sharing, it was the first time that I realized that something good might come out of my experience. So for people who heard my story, I think they had received different levels of awareness and education, and yeah, the stigma has definitely become better now versus 19 years ago, where no one really wanted to talk about this. Sharing my story gave me purpose in life, gave me the reason to move past all the shames of my past. It gave me the energy to the purpose to live.
就是说，一个家庭的爱，就是说很重要。就是说，在最困难的时候，只有爱能把家团结起来，度过困难。这样。